Hi guys, how's it going? This is our first episode of the AZVA Podcast. We haven't really come up with a name yet, so we're just going to call it that for now. But the whole point,
chair.
no, the whole point of this podcast is going to be to give you guys insights. We want to show you guys like what it's like to have a clothing company, what it took to get here, and then also our goal is to have other clothing brand owners as guests on the podcast eventually, so that way you can hear their insight and kind of build like a fashion community of people that like fashion, or whether it's just business in general. But yeah, just to give you guys some insight, some information of how we got to where we're at. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But just to start the conversation off, we can introduce ourselves. I'm Yuval. I own the company. I started AZVA about 2.5 years ago. And then we got over here. You want to introduce yourself?
My name's Brock. I do the graphic designing for AZVA. I started full-time, year ago?
Yeah, he started with us in March of 2023. This year.
Yeah.
March of this year. So it's going to be almost a year this March. And then we got over here.
I'm AJ. I do kind of whatever Yuval needs me to do, man. So I've been working on like marketing, outreach, trying to get kind of celebrities and TikTok people, just a lot, whoever has influence in kind of the community to put on our clothes, and then I pack, ship orders, and just whatever's needed.
Yeah, just like whatever we need, because we're a small team. So with business, it's like it's great to. It would be amazing to have 20 employees that can do every specific need that we have, but we're at the point where it's like there's a small team here, so we kind of just have to do whatever we have to do to make it work. But how I want to start this conversation off. And I'm actually curious because I've never even asked Brock this, because he's been like really great for us in terms of design, and his skill set has gotten a lot better since March when he got here. But I wanted to ask you because he's very knowledgeable on clothing. That's like one thing about Brock, is he knows just like the random facts that no one would even think about to know, whether it's about clothing or about like a movie or whatever it is. But in terms of clothing, I wanted to ask you, like, what got you passionate about clothing? Because like obviously when I hired him, the reason was because I saw the excitement and the passion behind what he was doing, and he was the first person I hired. So that was like a big step for me, because I was nervous, like having to pay someone a consistent paycheck and like take on that consistent expense that you can't just dispose of, because it's not just like one of those expenses that's like a warehouse or like extra inventory. It's like a human being, so I have to like treat it obviously different than like one of those things. So it was like a scary thing for me. But the reason I made that hire was because I saw the passion and the excitement, and like how passionate he was about clothes and fashion in general, and his knowledge. So I'm really curious, like at what age were you like, oh, I'm actually into clothing and fashion, and like what kind of got you into that part of the business? Yeah.
Honestly, it started with in high school doing sneaker reselling, and I was into that big time about my sophomore year, and then that kind of transferred into, so going on my senior year, I had a business class where we had to create our own mock company, and so me and one of my friends decided to do a clothing brand just as our mock company. Ended up really liking it, and wanted to see what we could do with it in real life.
Yeah.
So we YouTubed as much as we could, made some hoodies, hoodie and a crew neck, and then tried to sell it to our school. Didn't sell any. But so kind of died off for a little bit. Then come that summer, the big mesh shorts craze came in, and I wanted to try my hand at those, so I made some paisley shorts. Those took off on TikTok, and then kind of went from there. And then I ended up really liking it, wanting to get into more of just like kind of the design aspects, as opposed to just putting a logo on a T-shirt or a pair of shorts.
For sure.
And then just going ham on YouTube, just trial and error, no school or anything.
So you made paisley shorts before AZVA?
Low key, maybe.
That is crazy.
Some crazy
You're the OG
colors.
paisley guy.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if a lot of you might not know, but like the reason we got our at least our initial following on TikTok was because we started doing like mesh shorts as well, and yeah, we had like a paisley design go pretty crazy back in the day. This was like 2 years ago. So yeah, I honestly didn't know either that you made a paisley design.
Yeah, I'll have to show you them. It's OG
Are they-
paisley.
Are they like the ones we had to recycle?
No, I put in my own little logo. So I made this little heart struck logo, which I put, so the Bapes to star, I put a heart in there instead, and then just threw that like in the paisley. And so just
Like
my
a
little touch.
jumble.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. And then AJ, actually, it's crazy how we met, huh? I was thinking about it the other day, because it's like, I had no idea that like you were gonna work for me, you know. So it was so.
I didn't think I would have.
Like, it was so random, because back in the day, like, we would do those vintage events, and it's just like, it's weird to think, like, what got you into vintage clothing? Because I know you've been doing that for a while. Like, where did you find, because I feel like that's where your passion for clothing comes from, because that's where mine came from. Like, I started AZVA as you know, like a vintage reselling business also. So that's where my love for clothing came from. So I'm kind of curious, like, where did your love for clothes come from? Like, did it stem from the vintage? Like, is that how it all started? Did your parents wear vintage? Like, what was the...
I would say from a very young age, I just tried putting on random stuff. And I know I don't have a crazy fit on right now, but like my mom, she'll tell you I would always cry because I wanted to wear one black Timberland boot and one brown Timberland boot because it would match my black and brown beanie. And so like I just always kind of like getting dressed and would always be in my closet trying on new combinations. But I think I get that kind of from my dad.
Yeah.
When I was little, every time he'd come and see me, he'd just give me clothes.
Yeah.
And he was really big in that kind of scene, so it was cool. So that's kind of how that translated. And then how I got into vintage is one day I was just really bored. I think it was like 8 years ago. I was like 14, 15, and my friend just got a car. And he was like, dude, I know this place where you can buy clothes by the pound. And so I said, no way. Like, that's crazy. Because at thrift store, things were still cheaper. But, like, at the Goodwill bins, it was like 57 cents per item that you were paying. And so I didn't really know at the time what I was kind of looking at. But we went, I found a whole bunch of cool stuff. And then people were asking me where I was getting it from. And at the time, I was into sneaker reselling. And it was hard being a sneaker reseller because I just want to wear the shoes. I was like,
dude, it's weird because like I also did sneaker reselling.
Sneaker reselling was the wave.
No,
in
yeah,
high
I
school.
feel like everyone that's currently on the fashion scene or whatever you want to call it in the fashion game has like a brand that has some substance to it, like has a following. Like I feel like it's going to be interesting because we're obviously going to try and get some brand owners on here, but I'm curious how many brand owners started by sneaker reselling, because I feel like it's going to be a majority of them, because it was like that's like kind of, it's like such a simple thing, but it like teaches you business in a way. I feel like it's
business
like,
in the fashion world.
Yeah, it's just like,
and that's
it's something,
when Off-White was going crazy.
Yeah.
And so it was like the Off-White clothes, the Off-White shoes. It was like you just needed
Off-White, Supreme,
Nike. Oh, Supreme, and that's how. I think that's when that's actually when I transferred, when Supreme was getting bigger.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I kind of want to keep the shoes that I have, so I'm gonna try and just resell the clothing, because I didn't really care as much because I was selling vintage clothes already when I was like 14, 15. So it was like I'd have a new shirt every week because I'd wear it. It's already old, so I didn't care if I had it on. I'm just gonna resell it.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like vintage, I feel like it was like sneaker reselling was like the thing that got most people into clothing, and then it like kind of translated almost into vintage. It's like even us, I feel like as our company AZVA, we take so much inspo from 90s brands and 90s styles and vintage clothing, and like those pieces are just so unique, and it's cool to look back and see like what stems from certain things, you know, and like how a lot of our ideas formulate from like vintage clothing and like stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool like how we all kind of started in the same spot and then ended up in the same spot too. But yeah,
I think it's crazy actually. Brock, when he brought up he was in business class his senior year and he made a company.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I did a clothing brand, and I didn't really know how to design is the same thing we do to Brock now. I didn't really know how to design. One of my friends knew how to design who was in the class, and we had paired up. And so we made it like a raven. That was our mascot. So we made it kind of Raven brand, and they wound up liking the clothes that we made. So you can actually go back to my high school now, and it's still those same like 3 products are in the store.
It's crazy.
So that was kind of funny.
That's sick.
I think the coolest thing for me too is that when I started AZVA, it was like when I told people that's what I wanted to do, it's almost like most people think of fashion or like starting a clothing brand as something that's like unattainable or unachievable because it sounds so like obscure and like out of the ordinary to do something like that. So it's almost like I feel like with what we're doing with AZVA and like our own personal brands and like what we're trying to build here, it's almost like I feel like it's such a challenge in a way because it's not really known as like a normal career, or not a lot of clothing brands really make it even to the stage that we're at. So it's like I feel like it's just like it's a cool thing to say that we're in a clothing brand, and then people are like, oh, like they're like they kind of just like act like it's like I don't know. It's hard until they see what we're actually doing. Then like, oh, whoa, that shit's actually like pretty dope. You know, it's like it's cool to see people's reaction and like. So yeah, I was curious if like you guys have experienced like that when you kind of tell people that you're like, oh, I work in clothing and fashion. It's like a lot of people are just like, whatever. Like they just assume we have like T-shirts that say like live, laugh, love or something. You know what I mean? It's like it's like no one really thinks we're out here like creating like actually some crazy unique fire pieces. And like I think. Yeah, I don't know. It was
the when we did the launch party.
Yeah. That
it started like kind of switching because I tell people like, oh yeah, I designed for a brand. They're like, all right, yeah. You get like the same typical like, oh okay, but then I mean the launch party and having like all the pieces out and like, oh you did this.
Yeah, when you can actually like see it physically in person.
And it seems bigger than just
Right. I think it's funny because all the old heads. Someone like if you are around people who just have been living a long time and they've always had these random things, but I always run into people who have had like used to own clothing stores, but they don't realize when I say like, oh no, I'm a part of like AZVA, it's like it's a decent sized brand. They think I'm talking about like a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
You know. So they're always like, oh my God.
And the reason I like bring that up too is only because like it's like I want people to know that we're putting more effort into the pieces than like you would even think, like the sampling process and like the quality check and like just making sure everything, because like even looking back on the first designs we did and the first pair of shorts I made or the first t-shirt or whether it's even the first hoodies we did like last year, just like the difference in quality in the past year has been crazy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about just so people can know like what it took to get there. And I wanted to bring up like the story about how we ended up in Vegas, like for that convention. So Brock brought it up to me. He was like, you want to explain like what it is? And then I'll kind of go into the story behind how we ended up there and how it all happened.
Vegas?
Yeah. Like what that show is and everything.
So it's called, what is it? Is it Sourcing Magic?
Yeah. Magic. Yeah.
So it's this big convention. They do them all over the U.S. They do it, I believe, in Vegas, Miami, New York,
Nashville, I think.
And Nashville, yeah.
Like big cities.
So for the Vegas one, they broke it up in 2 parts. They had one side that would showcase already established brands and kind of up-and-coming streetwear brands. Mm-hmm. And then the other side, they would have their sourcing side, which is what we got tickets for. Yeah. And so basically what that is a giant venue of distributors from all over the world, mostly China. They do have, I mean, we talked to...
Yeah, there's people from like India, Pakistan, China, a few from like Portugal, Turkey, like. Yeah. But it was the Europe ones are very few and far between. I feel like it was mostly Asia.
It definitely was.
Yeah, there was like Thailand, Cambodia, like.
But I mean, they had it just about for everything from belt buckles to T-shirts to the most obscure things.
Yeah, and that convention really like, AJ, you weren't there, so obviously it's like hard to speak on that part. But when me and Brock, when we were there, I felt like it was so like eye-opening to me because when we the only previous experience we had with manufacturers, because I think the biggest issue that people trying to start clothing brands have is finding a good manufacturer. And that was our issue for a long time too. Like we had the goals and the aspirations to make whatever pieces like we could possibly make, but it was like if you don't have someone that can make those, then you're kind of just like shit out of luck. So it's like the thing that was eye-opening to me there was going and meeting these manufacturers in person just changes the ball game, because you can see what they're capable of, see what they specialize in, see the kind of fabrics they have. And like there's so much more to clothing than people think, because they just see, oh, we made a hoodie or we made a pair of jeans, but they don't realize like the process of making the fabric and then picking the fabric and then the different weights of the fabric and the heavier weights or the lower weights and the qualities and like the colors and the dyeing processes and everything. So like going to this event in Vegas like changed the game for us. And it was like one of those things where we're like, oh shit, this thing's coming up. And then we found one that was in Vegas, and we're from Arizona, so it was like a pretty close drive. So we just hopped in the car. We're like, let's go. And we just like booked it over there. And we ended up being there for 2 days. And like we found this manufacturer there that's like pretty crazy that we think is like really good. And like they were doing things that we wanted to do and wanted to achieve. So it was just like one of those things where it just clicked for us. And going and like putting ourselves in that position to go out there and do that, just like I feel like changed a lot of things for us. But yeah, that's just like with manufacturing in general. I feel like, I don't know, like, do you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, I feel like with manufacturing, it's just like such a, because I'm sure a lot of people have questions about that whole side of the business, because obviously there's like the design side, but then there's the side of like creating the clothes. So it's like, I don't know, I feel that the manufacturing side is the biggest struggle for most people. If there's like kids out there or people out there that want to start a brand, like do you have advice for them on like in terms of, I mean, like going to that event obviously is great. If you can look it up, it's called like Magic, and then doing that, but not everyone has the access to be able to just go to one of those. So
yeah, no, definitely, yeah, finding the manufacturer is going to be it's going to be a very difficult part of creating a brand and all that. But my best advice I can give for just the average kid or just person that wants to start a brand but doesn't have the funds to get to Vegas for a trade show like that is to go on something like Alibaba and just research the hell out of it. It's going to take more than an hour. It's going to take more than a day. You're probably going to be looking at least for a week.
Yeah.
But just going through, communicating with as many manufacturers as you can, asking for reference pictures and pictures of work that they've already done in the product that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because you can never do too much research. And samples are expensive, so you don't want to be wasting money just throwing out money just for a sample that wasn't even close to what you're looking for.
Yeah, and we have so many stories too about like even with manufacturers, just stuff going wrong. It's like a never-ending like crapshoot of just like shit going wrong. And it's one of those things where like having a business is just so like you have to be so mentally tough, because we've all experienced it. Like even Brock has his own brand that he's been working on, and like even you ordered hoodies for it and they came without like the pocket for the hood or something. Oh yeah, right? It's like, dude, how do you forget? It's like leaving out the hoodie or the hood on a hoodie. It's like, bro, what the hell? So it's like, and then I've had things where like I ordered a pair of shorts and they came and they were like ripped or something, and it's like, dude, it's just like a never-ending thing.
Or they're the wrong color.
Yeah, or just like the color's completely off. It's like you order the blue and it comes out purple, and it's like, and then they're like, oh, we're not giving you a refund. It's like you just have to deal with so much like mental obstacles through having a business, because nothing's ever gonna like completely go your way. So it teaches you a lot. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like we've had so many things go wrong, I feel like, but we still find a way.
Even in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
It's either sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and just like, it's what we got. We can either sell it or we can.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's just like you got to just figure out a way to make things work, and it's like you just do it, you know? It's like
just pivot.
Yeah, just pivot and like figure out a way. And it's like if something comes a little wrong, then, you know, we let our customers know, hey, it came a little different color, and then most of the time they're like, oh, it's cool, and we just ship it out.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like figuring out how to problem solve, I feel like is a huge thing with business, especially in the fashion industry. Like, what's that story you were telling me about Phil Knight with Nike, how like all the shoes came, his first order of shoes, just like,
oh, it was for his trade show. So it was one of the first times they were going to showcase their shoes. This was back when they were called Blue Ribbon Racing, I believe. Could be a little off on that. I know it's Blue Ribbon something, but they're at a trade show with all of the vendors, potential vendors, and they get this bulk shipment in, and all the shoes are messed up. They're all the swooshes are misglued. It's messy. It's done very poorly. but they had no other options. So what they did was they sold them, and then they made a promise to themselves that this is the worst it'll be. It'll only get better from here.
Yeah.
And so when we've had mess ups with all of our samples, all of our bulk orders, I mean,
we always talk to each other about that
Yeah.
story. Yeah, because it's like, and I think a lot of people need to hear that too that are trying to start a business, because it's like, I can't even imagine if some kid researched on Alibaba for hours and hours. It took him hours and hours to design something. He's super excited about a sample, and then it comes in, it's like super shitty, and you don't have like a lot of money, and like the business hasn't even really started yet. It's like that can be like demoralizing. Like that thing alone can make you give up on that dream or that passion or whatever it is, because it's like, holy shit, I just spent days and days and weeks and months working on something, and then it all seemed like it was for nothing. But I just want to like people to know that it's like, no matter how small your company is or how big it is, it's like we all have those same feelings. It's just at a different scale, right? So it's like we'll order $5,000 worth of hoodies and they could all come in wrong, and it's like, well, shit, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to sit here and cry about it? Or are we going to like find a way to like make it work, you know? So it's like, I think a lot of people, especially young kids, because you're not mentally like developed in terms of like maturity in business and stuff. So it's like, you got to realize like it's always going to get better. And it's like things aren't as like big as you think they are, you know? Like we always are like, to us, it might seem like this little detail being wrong might seem like the biggest deal, but it's like in reality, it's like, it's not making a huge difference, and like you make it work, you know. So
kind of like the green flares. I mean, I said no, let's scratch that. But I mean, they're almost sold out.
Yeah.
Like that's a great example too. We ordered these flared sweatpants from our last drop, not the most recent drop, but the one before that, and we didn't like the two of the colors that came out of the three, because we sent them mock-ups and we assumed that they would come a different color, and we only ordered samples for one of the pairs, which was a mistake on our part.
And it was so good. It came out perfect.
Yeah, the first sample came out perfect. So we're like, oh, the other two have to come out perfect. And then we just ordered the wholesale for all three colors, and the other two colors just came out not what we expected. And we were sitting there like, oh, shit. Like, it's thousands of dollars worth of flared sweats, and they weren't the color we wanted it to be. But then we ended up, we're like, you know what, we're just gonna sell them, like we'll be better next time. And the green ones are sold out now, and it worked out. Like, we ended up really liking them. The other ones they're doing fine. They're not doing as well because of that color mistake, I think. But like, they're still cool. Like, they didn't end up as bad as we thought it would. But
stay tuned for the mystery box.
If you order a mystery box, you might get some. You might get what exactly? What
some beach flares.
No, we don't want to see. We're not with the mystery boxes. No. So the whole point. The whole point of the mystery boxes. So we are not just using it to get rid of shitty inventory. That is not how it works. We like to overgive on those. So it's like you spend like $150 for a mystery box. We give you like $250 worth of stuff. But that like extra $100 worth of stuff might be stuff that doesn't sell as well, but you're still getting the value for the original $150. But it's
I mean, we don't have any clothes that I
don't
sits. Like.
Stuff just sells a little slower.
Some stuff just takes like a little longer.
So you're getting bestsellers.
But it's funny because me and AJ, dude, it was so funny. Remember, he literally sends me, sometimes we go through our tagged photos on the Instagram page, and he sends me this dude's photo. He goes, that was definitely a mystery box. Like, we know which guys that are wearing the clothes in the pictures. He's like, that's a mystery box for sure. Like, we already know that kid. He ordered the tier 1 $50 mystery box. He got the yacht club shorts and the Porsche t-shirt. So it's just funny because we're like, we know exactly who has the mystery boxes.
But even then, like, sometimes, like, the yacht club shorts, I just feel like we just dropped them in late summer. And so it was like, I feel like marketing-wise, we could have been a little bit earlier on that.
We dropped a swimsuit in, like, September. It was like, but that was
and because in other places it was already getting cold.
So that was a product though of like, again, the sampling process on that just took forever. Like, we had those ready in like June or something, and we didn't get them till like September because the sampling process just took forever, and they messed up the first one. And
what did we get, like 3 different samples?
Yeah, dude,
because they couldn't get the text right.
Like the text and the size and the color. But you know, you live and you learn. But yeah, no, it's been a crazy journey. Like, it's crazy even to think about, like, from a year ago. I feel like our winter drop from last year compared to this year was like a crazy difference. Like,
Oh, damn.
Obviously, like, trends change and stuff, but it's like, in terms of, like, the quality, though, and, like,
100%.
it was a crazy change in a year. And that's what kind of, you don't even realize it until it's been, like, a year later, I feel like. Because even, like, with you and your design capabilities, like, I feel like even in the past few months, you've made crazy strides. It's like, and I feel like even with you, like, you've been here not as long as Brock, but it's like, I feel like it's just like, you just get, obviously, like, over time, you get better at things, but it's crazy to look back and be like, damn, like, we actually made some shit that I'm excited to put on. Before it was like, like, I'll wear it to bed. Like, you know,
it's funny you say that, because I feel like I was coming in as a supporter because I had known you for a little bit, and I was like, you know, I bought every time I'd come back into town. I bought some shorts and stuff, but you're right, some of those were pajama items or like I'd wear to the gym. But now it's like, I'm gonna wear that out. Like,
now it's like the clothes we're making. We're like, people wear that and they're like,
that's a statement
that
piece.
Put that shit on. Like, you know, like, it's like, I'll be out in public. People are like, holy shit, where'd you get that leather jacket? And it's like, it's cool to be like, yo,
I made it.
Like, it's my brand. And they're like, what? Like, because it's like our quality really is like that. It's like, we could be in Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus. Like, our shit's like super high quality now. And we're obviously going to continue to strive for better. But it's like, it's cool to look back and be like, damn, I used to really not like what we were making. But it was like whatever we could because that was the manufacturing capabilities we had. But now it's like, oh shit, like, I want to wear this shit every day. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a very honest person, and I feel like you guys can even tell, you know, from when I was first here, I was like, no, Brock, that is terrible. to now it's like, Brock is cooking every time. Every day we go out there, you're always like, send that tep back. Send it.
Yeah, I feel like our dynamic with us three is cool too, because it's like, we all have similar visions that align with like what we're trying to accomplish in a way. Like, it's like the clothes, like we rarely disagree on like, if something's fire, like we're like, and not to be like cliche and use the word fire, but it's like, if something's like good and we really like it, I feel like it's like, we usually for the most part agree that it's like, okay, this shit's fire.
And I mean, everything that we've had that kind of like, this is good, has sold out. Like the Cactus Valley, the blue one, we were like, yeah,
it's like when you have that intuition, it's like you just got to kind of follow your gut, because it could be scared and to be risky about things.
Even this one I'm wearing, we haven't even really promoted it yet, and it's almost like sold out.
Yeah, no, it's cool to like when you have that intuition and for it to work out the way you like expected it to is cool. But yeah, I was also gonna ask you, AJ, because you've been working on like influencer marketing with us now. How did it feel like after we landed that like those like big rappers? Because I feel like we've been working up to landing people like Famous Dex, Jay Critch, Kalen For Real, Brendan Rice, like Sharif O'Neal. Like, we've been talking about this for like years, but it's like the part of the business is like building the capital, be able to do what you want to do. Because it's like we have the vision and like we knew the clothes we wanted to make and we knew the people we want to work with, and we know that Drake would like our clothes if he got our clothes. Like, we know these things, but it's like, how did it feel when we were like, oh shit, yo, we just landed a collab with like Jerry Rice's son, who's going to the NFL, who's a great football player in himself, and then we landed a collab with some of our favorite rappers that we listen to like in the car when we're driving to work, that we didn't even think that we would ever meet them. But it's like 2 months later, we're like hanging out with them and they're cool with us and calling us. And it's like, yeah, like how did you like, what was that like realization for you? Because I felt like after that happened, all three of ours like confidence levels in the brand and in what we're capable of, like I feel like that increased a lot after that trip in LA where we like made a bunch of shit happen.
Man, sometimes I talk a big game, and so it was just nice to see that one land. Yeah. And because I do have a lot of connections for like in the music industry, because I've just been around. I used to like do YouTube and stuff like that, and used to film, and so I've just been around a lot of people who are, whether they're in the music industry, YouTube, but like a lot of kind of like famous people.
Yeah.
So it was nice to actually like pull those strings and make it happen. So it kind of, I was always talking about it, but it was nice to see like, oh, okay. And so after that, now I have a few more things lined up for us. So it gave me a lot more confidence in myself. Like, okay, I said I could do it. Like, I really can do it. So, like, who's next?
Yeah, no, for real. And then it was like after that, I feel like we just like we've been on like a tear of like we're like, why wouldn't these people want to work with us? You know, and then it just gives like social proof for like other people wanting to work with us because it's like, oh, these cool people are working with them. Why wouldn't I want to? And it's just making it easier and easier to get to bigger and bigger people. But it's like you also have to put yourself in the right positions and like really put in the effort to make these things happen because these people are very busy and like.
That is one thing. I did not realize how hard it was going to be. Yeah. Because it's like you meet these people, they're really cool. Like Kalen, Jay Critch, Dex, all were like dope people when we met. But getting up to it, there's so many avenues that you have to like go through because
like we were booking studios, we were on the phone, we were writing contracts, like we were like it was like a never ending.
So like Kalen, just to get that, it was from 3 to 3. Like it was 3 a.m. to 3 a.m. because I went there, I had to call my boy to get the manager, and so then now I'm talking to the manager has to talk, but then they have a photo shoot coming up, they're dropping an album, so they have to like squeeze us in, and then you know, maybe they're late, maybe it's just a lot of effort building up to it.
Yeah, and I think the most shocking part, and Brock, you kind of could see this now too, because he wasn't at the other shoots because he didn't come to LA with us, but he was at the recent one with Sharif because we ended up doing that one in Arizona. But I think the craziest part to me was I always had this assumption that famous people were assholes.
Dude, we've met a lot of.
I don't know why I thought that.
No, I mean, it's a stigma.
Yeah, it's like a stigma. But every single person we've met and worked with have been genuinely super kind people and kind to us and like really like our clothes and have appreciated what we're doing and have been like super cool and I wouldn't say easy to work with because a lot of them were like difficult to actually get the thing finalized, but
when we were working with them,
but once in-person interactions.
Yeah, once it happened though in person, it was just like a lot different, and like there was just like there's so many cool stories. Like I picked Jay Critch up from the airport. It was like what, like like it was like I like dropped Sharif off at his hotel room. Like it was just like we were just like homies, you know, and it was cool to see that these people actually like mess with our vision and what we were doing, and they were just like chill. You know, just like chill people, and it was like cool. I don't know why I had that assumption. Like, did you guys like think that some of them were gonna be like assholes?
Oh yeah, I mean, with the fame and everything, they get tired of people. Yeah, they get tired of fans, so you don't want to like fan out or.
Yeah, but we were like chill. Like we were never like acting like, you know, like fans. It was more just like we're here to work, and it was business.
Just
so it was like,
I'm not gonna lie though. We worked with one of my favorite rappers. I was smiling the whole time. I was all giggly.
Dude, that was low-key how I felt about Jay Critch, because it was like, dude, I'm not like that with people at all, but for some reason he was like one of those underground art. Like he's a big name on the East Coast.
Definitely a lot of West Coast people don't know him as much as East Coast.
But it was like one of those things where I listened to him all throughout high school. Same with Famous Dex, and like I used to blast him in my car going to school, and like so when I met them in person, it was kind of like, oh shit, like bro, it's like
surreal moment.
Yeah, it's like a surreal moment. It's like you don't realize that you're like, oh, this actually happened. Like it's like
see, and that's why it was so cool, because I've met Kalen a few times now, but like actually like working and interacting with him there, that was like cool, because I mean, man is number 2 on my playlist. Yeah, I think it went Drake, Kalen, Blast.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, you always were blasting him, so I'm sure that was like a cool moment. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people too wonder like, what is the reasoning we did these collabs? Why did we invest into these people? And it was like, there's a lot that goes into it, right? So there's like obviously we do it because we mess with them, but then there's also the factor of them posting it on their socials that have a lot of followers, so obviously that gets like a lot of engagement. But then it's like there's a whole back end side of things with like the advertising, and I think a lot of people with clothing brands, they almost come to a halt when it comes to like how far they can go in terms of success or revenue or however you want to determine success, is because I feel like a lot of people are scared to get into the paid advertising side of things because it is expensive and it's scary. And like a lot of the things we do with these rappers and these athletes, like we're doing it to get like the paid advertising side of things right, because we can run these graphics and these interactions as ads so people can see that we're out here like doing things in real life. We're not just like someone posting t-shirts on the internet, you know? And it's like paid advertising is like a crazy thing that I've learned a lot about in the past like year, just because we've gotten a lot more into it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like,
I mean, sometimes you gotta pay to play. I feel like if we didn't get the Jay Critch thing, maybe Famous Dex wouldn't have happened. It
probably never would have happened. Yeah,
because it was cool. He conveniently lived where we were, and so like we could make that work. But it's like sometimes you don't know whether you have to go out and make
and
those
it's
connections.
like the biggest lesson to learn from a lot of things we've talked about is like taking risk. Mm-hmm. It's like risk is a scary thing, and a lot of people don't like to be uncomfortable, and a lot of people don't like to do things that put them out of their comfort zone and things that you don't know what's going to happen. But in reality, what I told myself is that like you never know anything that's going to happen in life. Like you don't know what's going to happen ever. So it's like, why even assume something's not going to work out before you even try it, you know? And it's like, obviously there's levels to it with like, in terms of like money and like how much things cost and stuff. And you like work your way up, but you got to start with some sort of risk with anything you do, whether it's like you have a clothing brand or you are trying to start a business that has nothing to do with clothes, but it's just a business in general. It's like, if you don't put yourself out there and not care what people think and just try things, I feel like that's when stuff starts like the ball starts to roll and like things start happening. Because for me, it was like I was always worried about like, oh, what's going to happen if I do this, or who's going to think about me, or what people are going to think about me. But it's like when I actually put that risk and was like, you know what, fuck it, like let's just do it and see what happens, then that's when everything started changing for me. Like hiring Brock, dude, hiring you, I'm not even going to lie to you, that was a fuck it moment. Like I could not afford you when I did that. But what happened from that was like it was just things started compounding because of having help was just a huge thing for the company. So it's like just like being able to be like, you know what, fuck it, let's run it, let's try it. Like, and I feel like we've done that with so many things, and that's why we've had success. And people ask me like, oh, you guys have grown so quick, how do you do it? And I literally am like, because we say fuck it and we just do it and we just try things, and it's like, you know, it's like we're not out here like,
yeah. But I would say we take calculated
Yeah, it
risk.
definitely is calculated,
Like,
but there are a lot of risks.
But
like,
right. Damn, I remember the phone call that we had before I moved out here.
Yeah.
And how you're talking about like, oh, I don't know if I can afford this, but I think we should do it. And talking about like, oh, I might need to get a second job out here in case like things didn't go through.
Yeah.
But then, I mean.
And Brock, it's funny how you were really like, fuck it. Because you were like, this guy moved from freaking Idaho and was like,
he was
he was like, yeah, I don't even know what you were doing out there, just picking potatoes or who knows. What
you know, the Idaho things.
Going to bonfires. And, yeah, I don't know. But I think that it was crazy because I told you, I was like, I have a vision. I believe in this, but I need you because I need help like in this vision. And you were like, yeah, like let's do it. And he literally moved into my house that I live in. We had an extra room. So it was like we've had to navigate not only working together but also living together, which is crazy.
Glad I don't live in that house. that's a lot of
if AJ was in there, it would be like the hype house or something. You know,
a little TikTok house.
Yeah, a little TikTok house. No, but yeah, I think that like were you nervous at all? Because I feel like for me, obviously my nerves came from hiring you because I had to, like, hiring people is scary because I obviously don't want to hire someone and then just fire them because I can't afford them. Like, that's the last reason I want to fire someone. And it's like, so I'm like, it puts pressure on me to make the business do better and better because I have all these extra expenses that I know are like necessary though. So it's like that's where my nerves stem from. But I'm like curious, when you were moving down here, like what was your thought? Were you just like, oh, like I don't even like. I'm curious what your thought process on the whole scope of things was when you were moving like states to come work for a clothing brand that was like not even that established yet.
I mean, I was definitely scared because I was signing a year lease for something that you were saying like this could work out, it could not. I mean, there's possibilities for both. Yeah. And so I'm like, damn, okay. Like, we'll make it work. Well, I mean, it was the drive, it was the push, but and then moving.
And I always told you too. I was like if anything happens, like I'll take care. You know,
yeah,
like, we'll
I mean, it wasn't full. Yeah,
I was like, we'll make it happen. Yeah, because that's just how I always. It's almost like, and same with you too. I was like, I started, like AJ started off by just kind of helping out hourly, randomly, like, but now he's like full-time position, and it's like, I feel like, and you even like quit. AJ quit. You like quit your other job to come full in on this. So I was like, how did that?
I quit 2 jobs to work here.
Yeah, and it's like
dropped it all.
My day job and my night job.
Yeah, and it's like taking that risk. That's what it's all about, right? So it's like
when you see something and you believe, you just got to do it.
Just go for it.
Yeah, was yours just off pure belief, or was it like
you felt it in his heart?
Did you feel a tingling sensation in your toes? Or was it?
Two things. Actually, like 3 things. First, I believe that this is gonna do well. Like not even believe, I know this is gonna do well.
Yeah.
Like we're doing big things here. Like it's already changed so much since I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're only going up from here. The second thing was I was not trying to make pizzas at night. So I said, this could be my second job.
Yeah.
And then this just got a lot busier. So then I kind of put a little bit halt on like the selling vintage stuff. But I mean, like you said, you believe in something, you got to see it out. And I always believe that. And I've always just liked to sell. So
yeah. And I love having these conversations because I think a lot of people that are, I mean, this is our first video, so we might get not that many people watching this, but people that end up watching this once it blows up down the line, once
Soon.
it blows up,
Soon.
people are going to come back and watch the first episode. I think a lot of people that are watching are going to be in a job that they hate and in a shitty situation in terms of their career. And I think that these stories and these examples are good for people to see that if you have something you're passionate about, like if you just put yourself in the right positions and find ways to just make it happen and just do research and go meet people and like I had no intention of ever hiring AJ because I've known him and I was like I never thought he'd work here, but he came to me and was like, yo, I like what you're doing, like if you need any help let me know. And I was like, you know what, yeah, like I could use some help. I put like a story on my Instagram saying I need someone to pack orders or
I was low-key mad at him because we had a conversation like 3 weeks before, and I think it was when you guys went to Vegas. He was like, yeah, when I get back from Vegas, I'll let you guys know. And I was selling him clothes out of South Carolina, just giving him packs of clothes, and he wasn't doing the vintage clothes anymore. I'm like,
yeah,
well,
AJ
there goes
used
one of my
used
clients.
to sell me vintage, just so for people that don't know, yeah, you'd sell me like when I did vintage. That's how we know each other. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
They go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Where was I at?
You were saying I was one of your clients, and then
Selling packs out of South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no idea where I'm at.
I think you were getting into talking about like how you put in an effort for me to hire you. So
Oh, yeah. So I was kind of upset when I saw that on your story, so I just swiped up. I said, you just never hit me back. Like, I'm ready to go.
Because sometimes, I mean, yeah, because I think a lot of times for me too, it's been like people will DM you saying like, oh, I'd love to work with you or whatever. And we get that DM a lot. But it's like when people actually put in consistent effort, then it makes me be like, huh, like if I actually need help in a certain like way or avenue and that person feels they can bring value, then I'm like, yeah, like we can try it out. Like I'm always down to try things and test things. And I think that's what like separated these two guys was like, you guys really like put in that effort to make it known that you're passionate about what we're doing. And like, I could see that, you know, and I just think it's like cool because there's a lot of people out there that are going to be in jobs that they hate and like be doing things that they don't want to do. And it's just like you really just got to put yourself in positions, and you don't have to go all in right away because that's obviously not like a good thing. But it's like,
yeah, just like I feel I didn't go in right away. It was step by step, like you said. I was kind of random hours, and then it went to, you know, we'll work here, and now it's, you know, regular job. It's my only job now, so it's.
No, I think it's cool too because it was like one of those things where you kind of like went all in on it because you told me like you'll be like, yo, if we need to pack orders from, and that's what I like always have really respect about you is that you're like, yo, if we need to pack orders from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. to get the fucking job done, like I'm there. Like, and that's what, when I see that, it's one of those things where it's like I can tell like you're not just in it to say you're in it, like you're in it for like the long run, you know. And it's like cool to have someone by your side that's like down to just like fucking grind. And like same with you, Brock, like I know you're a grinder too, and it's like having people that are down to just grind is like a main part. I think surrounding yourself by those kind of people, because it's like you work so many different jobs, and it's like in terms of designing, like you design for your own brand, you design for us, you design for your parents' company, and it's like you're just always down to work because you know the long-term investment of it. And I think a lot of people like don't see the long-term investment in things because they always think about how can I get my instant money or instant gratification or instant this or that, but it's like it takes, you know, like it takes years and years of consistently putting in that effort. And it's like, yeah,
I feel like playing sports could be a big role in that too, because
It's
if
the
you
commitment.
were like being good at a sport, if you were ever like decent at your sport, then you understand what it takes to like get there.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was terrible at soccer. I was definitely one of the worst. And then towards the ending of my career, I was one of the better players on my team. I moved up teams and all that, but it's like it just was a consistent grind to get there. And when you see something, you see potential, and whether it's yourself, your company, anything like that, you just got to put that grind in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's crazy how everything has worked out, and I hope that like through doing this, we obviously want like people to get to know us more and like know our goals and our aspirations and what we're about and like how we handle things and the behind the scenes things. And but we also like I want to help other people too, because I hate to see people in jobs that they hate, and I hate to see people feeling like they're like almost like in a jail cell when it comes to their work, like just locked up in like this lifestyle that's never ending of doing something they hate, because a lot of people don't think there's a way out, but there really is. And it's like it's cool to like use this as like a first-hand example to people that like it's possible to really do things. And we don't need to talk about like numbers or anything or like how much AZVA makes or anything, but it's like we're a legit company now, and it's like it's cool to see that just through the consistency and like not giving up on what we were about, like how it got us here. So yeah, but I mean in terms of anything else, you guys have anything else you want to like talk about in terms of like the business side of things, or?
I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, we cover a lot of things. Got a lot of free game.
The rest of the game, you're gonna have to pay for.
No.
That'll be on our $2.99.
No.
Just stay tuned.
The funny thing is I've always thought about that. I'm like, should we sell a course? But I'm like, nah, we don't need to.
We'll see where it takes. We'll give free game right now.
Yeah, we'll give some free game for now.
Yeah. And then we'll sell a course.
But people need to appreciate the free game.
Yeah,
because if you're locked in early, maybe we'll give you the course for free once we do end up having a course.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. I have no plans of having a course, but I mean, I just want to help people and show what we do. And yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you guys though, what's your favorite clothing brand right now? Because I know obviously we don't need to include any of our own or AZVA or anything. But
I love AZVA. That's
just AZVA. Brock's well trained. No, but just because like we want to turn this into having brand owners on here. So I'm going to send this podcast to a lot of brand owners and be like, yo, I want you guys on here because I want to talk game with you guys. And I think a lot of people would appreciate that. So I want you guys to each tell me your favorite brand right now out, and then I want you to like call them out and be like, yo, get on this podcast. Because, I truly think any brand owner we want to have on here, we can get on here. I don't see why not. So it's going to be one of those things where I think it's going to be really cool and be really insightful for people. So I'm curious what you guys, like who do you want to have on this podcast? It can be any brand owner, no matter how big, how small. I'm curious who you guys want. You want to start?
Shoot, I'll go straight to the top and just go Chrome Hearts, get Richard Stark on here.
Oh, yeah, this is what we'll do. Give me your underground and your famous brand aspiration to have on this podcast.
I'll start with my big one. We'll go Chrome Hearts, Richard Stark, because that would be crazy.
Why do you like Chrome Hearts so much? I mean, I like Chrome Hearts. I think it's a great brand. But why because I know you really like Chrome Hearts.
Yeah.
What is your like Brock like really like if he could quit AZVA and work for Chrome Hearts, he probably would. No, I'm kidding. But like
show him the chain.
Yeah, but why do you also I think your mic might be a little
low.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Why do you like Chrome Hearts so much, and what is your reasoning?
I just love how it's so timeless, how it's been around since late 80s, 90s, just with that whole and how it's stayed true to what it is and what it started out being, and just the story of how it's owned by the same family, and then it's now the kids taking it over, and just I follow all the kids that of Richard Stark. I believe it's
all his kids.
Well, he has two.
Brock wishes he was one of those kids.
It was one of the third child.
Brock wants to get adopted. Richard Stark, we're calling you out.
No, but they've just stayed the same through, 30, 40 years.
And they're still killing it, yeah.
Yeah, and they've stayed, it's their signature design. Like, you can tell, even when they do non-clothing products, you can tell, oh, that's Chrome Hearts. Like, when they did that Rubik's Cube, you're like, that's Chrome Hearts. And just, I love the that they're able to stay true to it. And I love also the kind of Gothic Renaissance art of like going to Europe and seeing all those the Gothic cathedrals and how that Chrome Hearts is that aesthetic and those designs and just.
Oh, it's dope. What about your underground one?
Underground?
It doesn't have to be too underground, but like, let's say just not mainstream, like not a brand that, like, obviously not like a Visu or Supreme or Chrome Hearts, like someone that's like smaller, but it can be big, but not like too big. You know what I mean?
Shoot, I'm blanking right now. I mean,
you follow every underground.
I know there's so many to choose from.
How do you not have one?
Well, I love like gold vintage.
They're dope, yeah.
I love.
Pick one.
Oh, actually, you know what? I got one.
Pick one.
So brand new underground brand. I believe it's Pally Hollywood. It's actually James Franco is one of the creative directors of it.
Oh shit.
Brand new. It's all
How do you
like.
spell that?
It's Pally.
Okay.
It's
Brock just bought a hat.
I just bought one of their hats.
That's why he's excited for his hat to come in.
No, they're brand new, but it's like that seedy, like Hollywood punk kind of aesthetic, kind of similar to like Chrome Hearts, but very unique pieces.
You have to show me the hat when it comes. How many followers they have on like Instagram?
I want to say like around 9. Well, so when I was following, they're out like 5,000. And then Jacob Elordi started repping their hat in a few pictures, and they skyrocketed. So they're probably at like 12,000 now.
For sure.
But yeah, that's
favorite dope. Right now. Hell yeah. What about you, AJ?
Man, I was thinking while Brock was talking, I don't know, because it's like the reason I got into vintage was Sean Weatherspoon. So of course I would love to work with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know necessarily if I want to do like round round 2 is cool.
Yeah, but it could just be whoever your favorite brand is.
Because of early 2000s, the aesthetic, and because, that's what I wear all the time, vintage T-shirts, I'm going to have to go with Nego from Bape.
Oh, yeah.
Just have to. And then underground, I really like what my boy Jide is doing over at Happy Memories.
Yeah.
And I went to school with him, so it's cool to see how, like, they've just leveled up year after year, so... It'd be cool to see.
No, Happy Memories, they're a dope brand. I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like I see us being at that level in the next few years. So it's cool to see what they're doing and like respect that they're like super consistent with their craft. And they make some really cool, high quality things. And they're like young dudes like us. Like it's cool to see other young guys like really killing it.
It was really cool to see because like I saw his brand and I was like, wow, like he's really doing it. And then I see like a few people wherever I go kind of rocking it now. So I'm like, you're kind of like proud of them. That's dope to really, not give up on your dream and just go. Just know that was what you want to do.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
How about you?
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's weird because I have a respect for a lot of big brands because like through me shopping other big brands, that's what got me into wanting to do this. So I just have a lot of respect for people and like I really like I've always really liked Rude, and it's like one of those things where I know they're kind of mainstream now and like a lot of people rock their stuff, obviously a lot of famous people, a lot of athletes, but they're like the first brand that really got me into it because I just do such a good job of painting a picture of like luxury and like making like an aesthetic through clothes, and I feel like I've always really respected Ruigi and like what he's done through Rude. And the prices are a little crazy, but they got some fire stuff. And then in terms of underground, I've been really messing with, and I don't know how much longer they're going to be considered underground, but that Veil brand,
Veil State.
Veil Lives or Veil Forever, Veil State. I don't know. They have like 130K on Instagram. They're still kind of underground. They're not as big as like Rude or Bape or whatever, but Veil is dope. Like I started buying some of their pieces. Like you notice when you're a brand owner and you order from another brand, you notice the little things. Like super fast shipping. They do a really good job of that. Quality's great, like design's cool. I respect what he's got going on over there. So I would love to have him on this podcast. I really like his brand.
Sayla's coming up too.
Yeah, that's Sayla. That Sayla brand's dope. There's a lot of cool ones in London too.
I do like Sayla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, London's got some dope brands too. They're starting to really like pop off over there.
Nude Project.
Yeah, Nude's cool. Obviously, Broken Planet's got some cool stuff.
Nude Project's been around for a little bit,
I mean
though.
they're bigger
but they're
now.
getting
I think they started in like what 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. We just like I really just want to get like some really cool brands on here and just be able to chop it up with them and learn from them, and then hopefully they can learn something from us and just mutually benefit each other and just kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I really got for this episode. I feel like the next episode we're gonna have someone on here that's with some substance about clothing and fashion. So whether that's a designer or just a fashion influencer or someone with some sort of role or influence in the fashion world, and that's our goal with this. So and just bring insight to you guys and also be able to bring content to you guys that is people that you see online that like are brands that you see online that you might not know who owns it or what the process is behind the scenes. So our goal is to be able to share that stuff with you guys through our own experiences and through other brand experiences. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
That's it. Welcome to BTS, no BS.
Shop AZVA.
Shop AZVA.